Hello everyone, myself Alok Kumar. I am Assistant Professor in Government College of Engineering, Dharmapuri. So here we will see fourth unit of compiler design, and in that we will see topic that is runtime environment and code generation. So firstly we will see runtime environment and later we will see that code generation. Okay, so here you can see this one is already we have seen, means these are the analysis phase like lexical analyzer, syntax analyzer, semantic, intermediate, code generator. All these comes in analysis phase and these two comes in synthesis phase, code optimizer, code generator. Okay, and symbol table is already attached to all the phases, and here initially we are giving source program and at last here we are getting target program. Okay, target language, like that we are saying. So for code generator, intermediate language that will work as a input and we will get target code. Okay, so here we will see runtime environment. Okay, so before discussion of code generation, we need to understand what we are trying to generate. Okay, there are a number of standard techniques for structuring executable code that are widely used. Okay, so here we can see like runtime environment. Here we can define this one. The runtime, by runtime we mean a program in execution. Runtime environment is a state of target machine which may include software libraries, environment variables to provide services to the processes running in the system. Okay, runtime environment support system is a package mostly generated with the executable program itself and facilitate the process communication between the process and the runtime environment. Okay, so here we can see runtime environment, or we can define this one. Runtime environment is created by the compiler to support target programs. Okay, what can be like allocation of storage locations for the objects, mechanism to access variables, linkage between procedures, mechanism for passing parameters, interfaces to the operating system, input output devices. Okay, now here we will see what are the runtime storage organization, how we can do runtime and environment organization. So this thing we will see here. You can see here we have mentioned, means how we are going to organize this one. So this one is code, here static data stack, and here this one is heap. Okay, so like this manner we are doing that management of runtime storage. So here you can see this code. Here it is defining like memory locations for code are determined at compile time. Okay, so whatever here it's going to determine at compile time. Okay, this static data, locations of static data can also be determined at compile time. Okay, and for this stack here data objects allocated at runtime, and here this we can say in activation records this we can see. Okay, and this one is heap. Okay, otherwise this other dynamically allocated data objects at runtime. Suppose we can say like for example in malloc of C language. Okay, so here now we will see procedure activations. Here this one is an execution of a procedure starts at the beginning of the procedure body. When the procedure is completed, it returns the control of the point immediately after the place where that procedure is called. Okay, and here each execution of a procedure is called as its activation. Okay, now if we want to see the lifetime of the activation, so lifetime of an activation of a procedure is a sequence of the steps between the first and the last step in the execution of that procedure. Okay, so we can say this one including the other procedures called by that procedure. Okay, and here if A and suppose we are taking A and B are procedure activations, then their lifetime will all either non-overlapping or are nested. Okay, and here one more point, like we can say like if a procedure is recursive, a new activation can begin before an earlier activation of the same procedure has ended. Okay, now here we will see activation tree. Okay, why we are creating activation tree and what is the use of that activation tree, that we will see. So we can use a tree like activation tree, we can say, to show the way control enters and leaves activations. Okay, and when we are going to create this activation tree, in that in activation tree each node represents an activation of a procedure. The root represent the activation of the main program. Okay, the node A, suppose we are taking in a node A and node B. So suppose node A is a parent of the node B if the control flows from A to B. Okay, and the node A is left to node B if the lifetime of A occurs before the lifetime of B. So this one we will see with the help of one example. Here we can see, like, suppose we are going to create one activation tree we will create for this program. Suppose here we have written this program. This one is main function, we can say, and here in this procedure S is there. It's going to start and ending, and here inside main one more procedure is also there, that is P, and inside P one more procedure, that is Q. Okay, inside Q we are inside P, this one we are having two, that is Q and S. That procedure we are going to enter inside Q and S, that is coming inside P, and here this one is begin P and S. So this one is P and S, this P and S both are coming in main here, and at last we are coming out from the main. Okay, so here we can whatever program is mentioned we have shown here like in a structure manner. So this one you can see here we are entering into main, and here this one is entering into P. Here this one is entering into S. So this one is we have mentioned here, and here we are saying enter Q. This one we are going to enter into Q and S. Okay, and after using that function or procedure, here we are coming out. Okay, and at last here we are coming out from this procedure P. Okay, so this one we can show with the help of activation tree also. So this one you can see here, like this one is the main function, and here inside this main function two procedures P and S are there that we have called, and inside main, and here in this procedure P, Q and S procedure has been called. Okay, so here this one we have created the activation tree, the sequence of procedure in depth first traversal of the activation tree here. So here you can see this one we have shown here in this activation tree. Okay, how what procedure are there inside main, and inside P procedure, which procedure we are calling. So with the help of activation tree we can see here. Okay, now we will see the activation tree depends on runtime behavior, and here we can say like the activation tree may be different for every program input. Okay, so based on that program it may differ. Okay, since activations are properly nested, a stack can track currently active procedures. Okay, so now here we will see control stack. This one, the flow of control in a program corresponds to a depth first traversal of the activation tree. Like we can say the start at the root. It starts at the root, visits a node before its children, and recursively visits children at each node in a left to right order. Okay, when we are going to create one activation tree at a time, this one we start from root and we visit a node before its children, and after that recursively visit children, and that is from left to right order. Now here this one is a stack. We are saying this control stack can be used to keep track of live procedure activation. Okay, you can see here an activation record is pushed onto the control stack as the activation starts. The activation record is popped when the activation ends. And we can say when node n is at the top of the control stack, the stack contains the node along the path from n to the root. Okay, like this we have seen in that example. Now here we can see like in activation record, information needed by a single execution of the procedure is managed using a contiguous blocks of storage. For this one we say as that activation record. Okay, an activation record is allocated when a procedure is entered and it is deallocated when the procedure exits. Okay, so in that program also you have seen when we are going to enter in that procedure, at a time allocation of activation record is happening, and when we are coming out from that procedure, at a time deallocation of that activation record is going to happen. Okay, and we can say like here the size of each field can be determined at compile time, although actual time of the activation record is determined at runtime. Okay, except that if the procedure has a local variable and its size depend on a parameter, its size is determined at the runtime. Okay, now here we can see this activation record, like here you can see a return value, actual parameters, and a control link, access link, saved machine status, local data, and temporary files or temporary variables. We are saying this one. So this one is the structure of activation record. Here this return value is store the return values to the calling procedure. In practice we may use a machine register for the return value. Okay, this actual parameter used by the calling procedure to supply parameters to the called procedure. Okay, this control link points to the activation record of the caller. Like this way, here we can see this access link used to refer non-local data. For example, in the other activation records we use this. Okay, saved machine status, this holds information about the state of the machine before the procedure is called. This local data holds data for that local to an execution of a procedure, and these are the temporary variables. Okay, so we will see this one with the help of example in next lecture. Thank you.